What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one. All right, so on a recent episode, which I think was yesterday, a recent episode of LeBron James's self-serving podcast, Mind the Game. Once again, he talked about how, or he reiterated his point that he believes that the NBA should award offensive players. He believed that there should be an Offensive Player of the Year award given to the best offensive player, similar to how the NFL has an Offensive Player of the Year award, which differentiates from the MVP, right? And, he said this before. He said this a couple months ago. Now, and I think he said it around the time that the MVP was announced, which would have been, a month ago or so? So anyway, look, let me say this because I said this before. The NFL is not like the NBA. I don't think there's been a player to play on both sides of the ball in the NFL since the early 1960s. And I'm not a huge NFL historian, but I believe that's about right? So what you have in the NFL, you have guys who either play exclusively on special teams, on defense, and on offense. And, at the end of the day, in the NBA, players are expected to play on both sides of the ball. So it doesn't make any sense to make an award for Offensive Player of the Year when in reality in the NBA, that's the scoring champion. That's the Offensive Player of the Year. That's the scoring champion. Okay? The thing about the NFL is you could have a quarterback win MVP, right? And you can make an argument that the MVP award in general favors offensive players, especially in the NFL. So it does kind of warrant a Defensive Player of the Year award. But there have been defensive players and defensive players that have won the MVP, right? And in those situations, it kind of does warrant that you recognize the offensive player or the best offensive player in the NFL, since they don't all play the same. They don't play both sides of the ball. So you do want to recognize who was the best offensive player and who was the best defensive player in the NFL, at least those who they vote for, right? You know what I'm saying? It makes sense for them to do that because players don't play both sides of the ball. So you do want an award to recognize it. The NBA, players are expected to play on both sides of the ball. Now, the scoring champion was meant to recognize the league's top scorer, okay? Which is, in essence, the Offensive Player of the Year. Now, you could make an argument that, well, is it more impressive to be a scorer or is it more valuable to be the scorer who scores the most points per game, or is it more valuable to be a scorer who scores at a record or the best efficiency? That's another conversation. But the scoring champion is generally considered the Offensive Player of the Year. right? Michael Jordan won the scoring title 10 times. Wilt Chamberlain won it 7 times. Allen Iverson, I think, won it 4 times. George Gervin won it 4 times. Kevin Durant won it 4 times, and so on afterwards, okay? So it's stupid, in my opinion, for him to keep arguing this, unless there's another angle there. And I'm starting to suspect that what LeBron James is really trying to convey here to people is that he wants the NBA to rename the scoring title the LeBron James Award. That's what he's really trying to tell people in a not so subtle way. He wants the award, at least that's how I interpret him, because I've been listening to this guy and we've been reserving him for over 20 years now. That's what he really wants. He wants that award to be renamed in his honor. I mean, because you have all these other various awards that have been renamed in other players' names, including the MVP award is now the Michael Jordan Award, the Michael Jordan Trophy, or whatever it's called. Or is that Finals MVP? Whatever the case may be, you know what I'm talking about here. You have all these different awards that have been renamed after all these all-time greats. And I think LeBron James, being the narcissist that he is, okay, he wants the scoring championship renamed probably the LeBron James Trophy. That's what I think he's getting at. Because this is something that's sticking in his craw for some reason. But you're still playing. You know, but hey, if they do it, once he retires, in a couple of years, you see that the NBA is going to rename the scoring title the LeBron James Trophy for offensive excellence or some dumb shit. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. But you know, I think that this clip speaks for everybody when we think about LeBron James, our opinion of this guy.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate assessment right there, man. Doesn't make any sense, man. By the way, the Defensive Player of the Year award, which I think started in the 82-83 season, if I'm not mistaken, right? And I think the first winner was Sidney Moncrief. I think he won it the first 2 years, 82, 83, and 83, 84. I believe so, at least. I might be a little off of that. But anyway, that award was started really because, from a historical standpoint, there wasn't really an award that recognized defensive excellence. There hadn't been. Everything was slanted offensively. Hell, the league didn't even count blocks and steals until a little less than a decade before they started the Defensive Player of the Year award. So, you know, at least officially count them. So, yeah, NBA players play on both sides of the ball, man. So I don't know why you keep saying this. It's the second time you said this. And now I'm believing whenever LeBron James keeps beating the same dead horse about something, there's an ulterior motive behind it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, tell me what you guys think.